I'm Becky Cross, the Vice President of Client Partnerships here at Fit Technology.
Great. I'm Shannon Deinhart. I am the co-founder and the executive director of Kinnect.
So happy to have you here today. I think for the first time in our fifth floor space, is that correct?
Yes, it's a beautiful space. Glad to be here.
Well, we love having you, and I think for us, first and foremost, we would love for you to share a little bit more about Kinnect, your mission, and how you all got started.
Great. I'm very excited to be here and have the opportunity to share this with you. So Kinnect started 20 years ago in 2005, and the reason we started was there are more than 16,000 children in foster care in the state of Ohio and more than 250,000 kids in foster care in the country. And so Kinnect started as the Waiting Child Fund because what we wanted to do was ensure that kids didn't age out of foster care. When young people age out of foster care, sometimes their outcomes are homelessness, lots of mental health issues, substance abuse, and prison. And so the Waiting Child Fund was started to help public-private partnerships across the state of Ohio, but we started working in Cleveland and Summit County to help kids get out of foster care to adoptive families, because we know the research has shown that when kids grow up with families and they don't have to move around, that stability really helps them as they enter into adulthood. So that's how we started, and in 2018, after we learned some lessons from what was happening nationally with the crack epidemic, then the opioid epidemic that has impacted the state of Ohio, and some learnings we did about family finding, we've really shifted our work to not only support young people to get out of foster care to adoptive families, but to also support them to go back to kinship caregivers. So we have helped young people find family members that they've been lost to and reconnecting them so that they have that opportunity to have the stability of a family. And so in 2018, we changed our name to Kinnect and have continued to grow our services around that space of supporting young people and also preventing them from coming into foster care.
And can you elaborate a little bit for those who maybe aren't as familiar what kinship care is?
That's great. So I often describe it as, have you ever taken care of your nieces, your nephews, your neighbors' children, maybe for a weekend, maybe for a few weeks, a few months, or maybe forever? That's kinship care. And I think all of us are kinship caregivers in one way or another, whether it's forever or for a few months or a few weeks or a few years.
And can you talk a little bit, because I've heard you talk about this at some of your fundraising and community awareness events. Can you talk a little bit about the impact differences between foster care, kinship care, or even private adoption, and sort of the differences between those and the value of kinship care?
Yeah, thank you. So foster care was meant to be a short-term intervention for young people whose families were experiencing a crisis. Unfortunately, for many kids now, when they come into foster care, it's a very high percentage that stay in and don't get to adoption or back to kin. The value of adoption and adoptive families and kinship care is that it allows young people, again, to have that sense of belonging, that stability that we all need to be successful. So an example might be a young person that I actually did work with many years ago. When he was 17, I started working with him to find his family. He had been in 33 placements since he was 3 years old, which is when he came into foster care. So the system of foster care, unfortunately, is not able always to do their best to get kids back to families. And so that's what Kinnect does. We support public child welfare agencies for those kids that are stuck in foster care.
It's incredible. Tell us a little bit about some of the opportunities and things that you're working on today for your business and how technology drives those outcomes.
Well, I can say that technology has changed the way we do our work, and it has helped us in a variety of ways, not only from how we find relatives, which we use all kinds of technologies, search engines, but as an organization, now that we are remote, and we have people all over the state of Ohio, how we work together and how we use technology to stay in touch with each other in our workspaces from that remote perspective has been incredible. And Fit's partnership with us and helping us, you know, many of us are social workers by background, or we're other folks that have more of the helping profession, so technology wasn't what we were very good at. We were used to going into people's homes and talking directly to people. And with COVID, we learned how to do our work as well remotely. Now we are getting back into the people's homes and back into the community, but technology is critical, and how Fit has helped us leverage that and skill up our teams has been amazing.
I love that. Where are you all headed into the future? What's the vision that you have for your organization?
Yeah, I think as we continue to grow and understand the needs of kinship caregivers and adoptive families, we're really supporting Ohio and others nationally on building a kin-first culture. And what that means is, how do we help public and private agencies, professionals in the child and family serving agencies, whether it's schools, courtrooms, hospitals, think about kin and how they are talking to kinship caregivers and how they're talking to young people about who their kin might be, in order to support young people from not having to experience what we call stranger foster care, as well as how do we help foster caregivers support kinship caregivers and support biological family members as their young people that they are caring for make their way back to families.
That's really cool. If there was one piece of advice or tip that you could give to our staff, our people, that would help ultimately improve your business outcomes, what would it be?
I think the continued support of just our team members from that help desk perspective, and I'm sure at times it might be frustrating for some of the questions you might get asked, but from that higher level, as we think about BI and how we are collecting data and using all of the data in our suite to drive our business outcomes and the deliverables that we have to our funders, which includes the Department of Children and Youth at the state, as well as our private providers. I think that's our opportunity from a higher level.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for your time and for helping us learn more about the important mission that you have. And we are really looking forward to our continued work together.
Thank you. Thanks for this opportunity.